What if I told you one NBA team didn't just adjust their offense, they abandoned one of basketball's most sacred fundamentals? No press release, no headline, no coach openly admitting it in a post-game interview, but quietly, deliberately, they stopped setting screens, not because they lacked the size and not because they couldn't execute them. They stopped because they realized screens were actually hurting them. Tonight, we're breaking down why. One team realized that the very action basketball is built on was making them the easiest team in the league to guard. Screens are supposed to be the ultimate weapon. We are taught from day one, set a good screen, create space, force a switch, and free up the scorer. It's the DNA of every playbook, from high school to the NBA Finals. But here's the uncomfortable truth that nobody wants to admit. Modern NBA defenses have evolved past the traditional screen, with switch-everything schemes, elite pre-rotations, and help defenders who are cheating toward the ball before the big man even arrives. The screen has become a signal. By the time a screener plants his feet, the defense already knows exactly what is coming. The offense thinks they are creating an advantage, but in reality, they are giving the defense a head start. One NBA team finally dared to ask the forbidden question: what if the screen is the problem? Mid-season, during a critical stretch against elite competition, this team's coaching staff noticed a pattern on film. Every time they ran a textbook pick and roll, the defense looked comfortable. The defenders stayed connected. The weak side help shifted into the paint, and the passing lanes vanished. The offense looked organized, yes, but it was predictable. But then, they looked at their best possessions. They weren't the ones drawn up on the clipboard. They were the moments of pure chaos. Broken plays, early transition, and players moving purely on instinct without waiting for a big man to set the action. No calls, no signals, just pure, unadulterated spacing. That was the spark. That was the moment they decided to break the game. The logic was simple, but terrifying. Screens tell the defense where to look. The moment a center steps up to the perimeter, every eye on the floor locks onto that spot. Defenders load up, the paint gets crowded, and the court shrinks. This team realized that every screen they set was actually helping the defense get into position faster. So, they started the experiment. They replaced traditional screens with ghost actions, where a player looks like he's coming to screen, but sprints away at the last second. They focused on dribble handoffs without making contact. They prioritized relocation shooting at 5-out spacing where nobody stood still for more than a second. Suddenly, the defense had nothing to lock onto. No physical contact to lean on, no switch to prepare for, and no trap to time. The offense became unscoutable. The numbers didn't just move, they jumped. Efficiency went through the roof. Turnovers plummeted because there were no crowded pockets to pass into, and the defensive rating of their opponents dropped significantly. Not because the players had suddenly become more talented, but because the defense was constantly guessing. Why haven't you heard this story on the news? Because admitting that screens don't always work would destroy decades of coaching philosophy. Screens are safe. They are easy to teach. They make a coach feel like they are in control. But basketball isn't about looking organized. It's about creating an advantage. And in today's game, advantage comes from speed, spacing, and unpredictability, not a stationary big man waiting to make contact. Most teams can't pull this off. It requires elite decision makers, shooters at every single position, and a head coach who isn't afraid of being called crazy by the media. This team had all three. They stopped following the rules and started forcing the rest of the league to play their game. The real question for the future isn't should teams stop setting screens? It's how many of your screens are actually helping you. It's movement without permission, spacing without a fixed structure. The future of basketball isn't more pick and roll and trust without total control. The scariest offenses in the world aren't the ones that run the best plays. They're the ones that have realized they don't need plays at all.